What is up and what's happening to all of my Auburn fans out there? I see the live chat is already popping. Welcome into Auburn Primetime Live. This is the 17th edition, and tonight we are here to talk a little bit about the offensive coaching staff, going to the mics and spending a little time with the media and letting us know how they feel about how Auburn performed in the scrimmage, how they have performed in fall camp so far. And I think we got a little bit out of it and hearing about a couple guys who have shown out offensively and I feel like we really took from this what the offensive coaching staff felt about the first scrimmage. They or at least that's what I took out of it. So where you heard a lot of stuff about, oh, Jackson played like this, there wasn't a lot of electric plays, there weren't a lot of explosive plays, there weren't many touchdowns, but I think these guys kind of honed in on that's not really what we're looking for in the first scrimmage. We're looking for the ebbs and flows, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But first, if you could, please like the video, share it out on social media, and click that bell for notifications, man. And if you are interested in becoming a member and at the Auburn Voice of College Football, here we are with the membership tiers. $2.99 a month, Toomer's Corner, $4.99 a month, Cam Backers, and $9.99 a month, the Kick Six Elite Package. And I got some things cooking up again. I'm going to try out betting with Blake. I have a little bit more time on my hands. And if you're a member, we're going to do betting with Blake, kind of similar to how we started out last year. And this year, I'm going to keep it rolling, man. Like, we're going to get after it and we're going to have some fun with it. And we're going to come up with 3 bets and we're going to lay them out there. You don't have to actually bet real money, people. This is just something to have fun with if you're a member. You give me a bet that you like, and like I said, you don't actually have to place the bet or show proof that you placed the bet. I'm not asking that. Just look at the spreads, look at the lines, and if you like it, let me know, and we'll keep track of everybody's records, and we're going to stay on top of it. But last year I did some traveling, and I went to a couple games, and I didn't have a lot of time, I should say. So I'm going to stay with it this year, and so if you're a member, we're going to do that. That'll be another little thing of content that we will have available. So let's get in here and let's start out with Mr. Derrick Nix, the running backs coach and the offensive coordinator. I watched what he had to say first, and they asked him about the offense. How did he feel about the offense? What were his takeaways from the first scrimmage? And he said, "Look." He said, I think the offense is fine. I think that we're moving in the right direction. We have some minor details that we need to iron out, but we have legitimate playmakers on this offense. We have guys that can get downfield and make plays. We have guys that can run underneath the sticks, catch the ball, break a tackle, make somebody miss, and move the sticks. He said that we have running backs that are hard nosed, a young guy in Mabson that keeps getting talked about, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. But he said that these guys have a lot of potential, and not only just like the receivers. He said that you can see that some of these guys, you can tell they're in year 2. You can see that they're not lacking what they lacked last year. There's more knowing what to be done, right? Where last year they didn't even hardly know where to line up. And so I think that has a lot to do with it. And I think one thing he talked about was it is still a work in progress, but when you go into the first scrimmage of fall camp, you want to see ebbs and flows. So, like when you go in, you want to see some explosive plays from the offense, but you also want to see the defense have a great day. You don't want it to just be lopsided, one sided this way. And it's like that. He said in certain periods of practice, he said if we were just going out to practice and we were just getting absolutely dominated on the offensive side of the ball, he said I would look at this and be like, hey, we're not ready. We're not ready. He said, but there's certain periods where the offense goes out and we dominate. Then we might go to another period and we might do something else and the defense dominates. And he's like, that's the ebbs and the flows where I can see that both sides of the ball are competing and both sides of the ball are winning. And Miss Karen, I see you with the 5 gifted right there. I mean, that is absolutely huge. Wanted to pull that up. Thank you so much. And I know there's going to be 5 people that are really excited about that. So I really liked what Derrick Nix. He kind of made me feel a little bit better because all we've heard is defense dominated and in like all caps and exclamation points. And so he made me feel a little bit better about that. And then he started talking about Omar Mabson. One thing I want to touch on here tonight is I think a lot of people thought that this was just a guy that was making waves in camp. We'll probably never see him on the field. You know, he's just really showing out because of injuries. I thought that at first, but I'll be straight up honest with you folks. I don't know if I believe that anymore. I think Omar Mabson might be the real deal, and I think he might actually get on the field and get some run. I do. It would be different if his name would have slowly started fading away and we didn't hear about him as much, but you continue to hear about him. And then you have teammates talking highly of him, like Damari Alston. He said, hey, you want a story? Go write about Omar Mabson. All right. I don't take that stuff lightly. I think that when you have teammates talking about you and then you also have the coaching staff talking about you, I think that plays, man. I think that means something. And I think this kid, you just hear in the scrimmage notes over and over and over again about how he is so far ahead of his age and his development and knowing where to be. He just got there in June, and he spends time after practice. He gets to the coaching staff and says, hey, I might not understand this. Explain this to me. I need to know where I need to be here. You know, and they said there are some things that he needs to get better at, like maybe pass pro and things like that. But he just turned 18, folks, and he's still supposed to be in high school. He's still supposed to be at Auburn High. And we got a kid that he's making waves. And I told you guys the other night, injury creates opportunity. And one guy that I've always been high on was Jeremiah Cobb. But it seems to me that Jeremiah Cobb is beat up a little bit. He's got some nicks and bruises, and look, that creates opportunity. Damari's had a little problem. Darrell with a foot, he's had a little problem. It creates opportunity. It creates opportunity. So what do you do with that opportunity? And I think Omar Mabson has went and taken an opportunity and ran with it. Literally ran with it. And I think he's going to get on the field. I do. Some people might think I'm crazy and they're like, oh man, you don't want to play that young of a kid. Look, I want to play the best. All right. And what I think is really the telling story here is you looked at Alvin, and this isn't a knock on Alvin, but Alvin was supposed to be the guy in this class, and it ends up being Omar as the late addition. And I think when Derrick Nix said he went to watch him play, he went to watch him practice, and he was like, hey, how can we get you in this class? And he said Omar called him and was like, yeah, I want to reclassify, and I want to be in that 25 class. And he said, well, let's check the grades and see how we can do it. Number one thing right here, his grades checked out. His grades checked out. So you know he takes things serious. Head is on straight, and he is a hard worker and ready to go. I think that was a big thing for me was you check those grades, and we're going to see if you're really serious about what you're talking. And he was. So I'm high on Omar Mabson. The weakest link, can he block? I think that's one thing that Derrick Nix said he needed to improve on, but they're constantly working. But I mean, look, I still think it's Damari's job. Okay, I still think it's Damari's job. I still think Damari gets RB1 at Baylor. I think Omar is going to be, I think he's going to get in there and he's going to give a breather, or, it might be Auburn's up 2 possessions or something, and he might get, hey, look, man, Darrell's kind of banged up. Damari needs a breather, and I think Omar might get a carry. I think he might get a carry. I kind of told y'all the other night, like, remember when Batee, we were struggling running the ball at A&M 2 years ago, and Batee come in and he was like a little spark plug, and you were like, okay, we're starting to move the ball a little bit. I think he could be that. I think Omar could come in and get some run in like a Batee role where we might be struggling, we might be just non-effective running the ball, and then bang, you get a little spark plug right there. So I just think he gets on the field because you're hearing too much about him. You're hearing too much about him. How's Damari's fumbling problem? I think that is something that if it continues to happen, which I think he did a good job at the tail end of the year last year, I think if that's something that continues to happen, Keith, I don't think he's going to be on the field long. But I'm with you. He's a dog, man. He's a dog. And look, I think last year he was getting carries, and yes, he had fumbling problems. He let some get away from him, but he went to work and he fixed that problem, and he got better as the year went on, and that's what I truly wanted to see. I was as hard as ever on Damari last year because I was like, man, you're running back too. You're fumbling the football. We need you in big-time games. It can't just be Jarquez Hunter. You can't just have one running back in the Southeastern Conference. You can't. You got to have 2. And if your running back 2 can't hold on to the football, we got to look somewhere else. Well, now Damari is running back 1. I think he fixed that problem, and we're going to find out early on because I think he's the guy this year. I think he's going to get first touch. Damari started holding the ball high like Tiki Barber. Man, you got to hold that thing high. You got to put pressure. Got to hit them pressure points, brother. And Brad said, I might be in the minority, but I don't think Damari has a fumbling problem. I'm with. I don't think it is anymore. And really and truly, like, you remember 2 years ago at Cal, he just got popped. Like, that was just a hit. He fumbled. He did, but he got popped. That's a hit where I'm like, hey, look, man, that's just a football play. And everybody's like, oh, he fumbled. I'm like, he got popped, man. It happens. Like, when you get your bell rung like that and your body goes limp, and I don't think you're holding on to the football. So, I mean, he got his bell rung, and he put the ball on the ground. And so that's part of football, man. It happens. If 2 fumbles last year, you're right. You're right, Brad. I think he went to the drawing board. He went to work, and he fixed what was technically, like you said, it could have been a problem. Maybe it's not. One thing I do like also hearing is Darrell Robinson. Derrick Nix talked about Darrell Robinson. He talked about him in pass pro. He said that Darrell can block, but he said one thing I want to see improvement on is Darrell catching the ball out of the backfield. I need to see Darrell Robinson catching the ball out of the backfield. Now, the more I hear of these 3 guys, Jeremiah Cobb, I'm not hearing enough. And I think he could be the odd man out. And I've been super high on Jeremiah Cobb, but I'm just not hearing anything. And like I said, injuries happen. But man, this was a guy that we were all kind of really wanting to get on the field and get the ball in his hands. He's an electric playmaker. And it seems like it's just not happening right now. I don't know. There's still a little bit more time to go, but and Derrick Nix said he was pleased with Damari and his growth and how he's carried himself as a leader in that room. And like I said, Jeremiah Cobb, you got to get healthy. You got to be able to get on the field. You got to get out of the non-contact jersey. But Omar Mabson is absolutely making waves. And I don't care how you want to go about it. I think he gets on the field, man. I really do. QB coach Ken Austin, one thing that stuck out with me with him and his words were Jackson and how he's controlling himself, how he is accurate at practice. He's quick with decision making. Yes, you heard Hugh Freeze say that he was a little stingy in the RPO game, but they feel like he is taking control of the offense. And QB coach Ken Austin said, I feel like he is a guy that has supreme athleticism. He can run it. He's really good with his legs. He's really good at extending plays. Also in fall camp, you don't get to see Jackson Arnold take off and run. It's no contact and everything like that. So go watch the play against Ole Miss last year with him at Oklahoma. And it was kind of like a Bo Nix versus Texas A&M vibe where he just kept the play alive and he ends up scoring. Now, they ended up getting throttled that game, but it was still a hell of a play. And so I think that's what Ken Austin was talking about is like Jackson, he can make all the throws. He can throw guys open. That's one thing that he said he looked at in the portal when Jackson become available is Jackson's ability to throw guys open, not wait till they get open. You got to throw them open. You got to throw to that spot and let them go get it. And that was one of the things was his arm strength, his accuracy, and how he controlled himself in the huddle and with the offense around him and being that leader. And he said he's also seen great things from the other two, Deuce Knight, Ashton Daniels. You heard of Ashton Daniels with the big run and everything. And I think Ashton Daniels gets his number called before Deuce. And oh, boy, I know some people do not agree with Deuce Knight being QB3. But let me tell you something. I do not want to see Deuce Knight maybe only in mop-up duty if we're up that big. Like against Ball State and we're up 52-7 or something. I would love to see Deuce Knight get on the field. But I do not want to see Deuce Knight come in the game for a package or a goal line package or anything like that. I don't want to see Deuce. Because if you have to turn to Deuce in a critical situation, that means Jackson's not getting it done. And that means we're having to pivot in the middle of the season. And I don't want to hear that. Now, do I think Deuce Knight's the future of this program? Yes, 100%. Do not get it twisted. I think Deuce is the future. But I do not want to see Deuce Knight this year. Not in a critical game or situation. Y'all, I really and truly don't want to see Ashton Daniels in a goal line package or anything. I want us to be able to go get 6 in the red zone with Jackson Arnold and keep it moving. That's what I want. That's what I want. And because the old saying is if you got 2 QBs, you ain't got none. Now, I know it's worked with a couple of different programs. Florida, back with Leak and Tebow and all. That's just rare, man. That's really rare. So, fans are going to want to see Deuce, Brad. Let me pull this up here. Fans are going to want to see Deuce, and Deuce is going to want to be in the game. That's probably recruiting promises, and you got to keep him here. He's got to get in the game at some point this year. Yeah, I think he gets in the game. Like I said, blowout fashion. Ball State, you're up big. South Alabama, you're up big. Let him get in there. Let him have a day, man. But that's it. I don't want to see him. Let's see. I don't want to see him come in. We got the ball on the 3-yard line, and Deuce enters the game at Oklahoma in a 10-10 game in the third quarter, and we're trying to score. I just don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. I want to see Jackson Arnold lead this team because we've had, and I guess the reason I'm saying I don't want to see it is because we've had those problems. We've been through red zone Robbie. We've been through the 2 quarterback thing. I don't want to see all that. I want to see Jackson Arnold take this team and go as far as he can take them. And I want him to be able to get in the red zone and facilitate the football the way it needs to be. and get 6. Stop settling for 3. So I like what Ken Austin did have to say. Now, you're right, Brad. I don't want to see him there either. I don't. What's Thomas got here? In college, nobody has seen Arnold with good blocking and good wide receivers. There is no reason he can't be good. We just got to wait. I agree with you. Look, we have seen the flashes. That's what excites me about Jackson, is we have seen the flashes of him at Oklahoma. You go back and you watch some of his highlights at Oklahoma, like I mentioned, the Ole Miss game. You go back and you watch some of the throws and some of the plays he made against Tennessee and things like that. Like some of the runs against Alabama, like you have seen the flashes of what Jackson Arnold can be. Now, can he come to a better situation and produce at a much higher level? Can he produce and be more consistent than what he was at Oklahoma? Because there's no more excuses of offensive line. There's no more excuses of playmakers because they're all around you. I can't hear excuses. I don't need to hear excuses. So I think Jackson Arnold can play. I'm not really worried about what we're hearing out of fall camp right now. Like I told y'all the other night, I would much rather hear that my defense is balling than hearing my offense is absolutely shredding my defense. Because, boy, if your offense is shredding your defense, that ain't good. It ain't good. So it takes me back to Derrick Nix, the ebbs and the flows. 1 minute offense is winning, 1 minute defense is winning. It's competition. It's competition out there. Everybody's getting better, man. That's what I want to see. I feel like Deuce is going to play if Jackson gets a season-ending injury or absolutely sucks. I think Ashton is for a blowout, or if Jackson comes out for a series or 2, something like that. Yeah, so, okay, if Jackson Arnold gets hurt, I think, yes, you have to turn to Deuce Knight. If Jackson gets hurt, you have to turn to Deuce Knight, because I think you're going to be put into a Billy Napier type situation. And if you've watched the new Netflix SEC doc, I think that was a really good episode. It was one of the best episodes, in my opinion, on the whole documentary, was because you saw behind the scenes of what Billy Napier was going through. I mean, they got clocked by Miami in the swamp. And as he's walking through the tunnel, dude reaches out and says, "Bye, Billy. Bye." And he got back in the locker room and he was like, "Hey, don't let it divide us. Don't let it divide us. Okay? We're still together." And I think Auburn would be put in a similar situation if Jackson did go down. And that's when I would call for Deuce, because he's the future of the program. And I think you would have to pull off like a Lagway magic / miracle type thing, to where he comes in, you see that he's the guy, and you ride that momentum into next season. And I think if Auburn did that with Deuce, I think if Jackson went down or he was just terrible out the gate and you had to pivot to him, whatever, and Deuce comes in, then yes, I think like 6-6 or 7-5 would keep you, because you would be looking at the future. Kind of like Billy. Everybody was like, "Oh my God, like Billy did wonders with this team. He found his quarterback. The future's bright." They kept him around when everybody was sticking a fork in him. Everybody thought he was done. I see some of y'all's. I just gotta. But if the offense struggles again in the second scrimmage, that's a problem. If the offense struggles again in the second scrimmage, I will have some concerns. But it also could tell you that Auburn's defense is elite. And you keep hearing that. And I will tell y'all this. I know somebody on the roster. And I know him well. And I messaged him and I said, "How are we looking?" And he said, "I'm not going to lie to you, Blake." He said, "It's promising." He said, "I'm going to hit you straight up. It's promising." So you can look at it. You can look at it in different ways, Daniel, because we heard all of these things the past 2 years of, oh, the offense lit it up in the scrimmage. Peyton Thorne had a day. Peyton Thorne threw 2 touchdowns. Robbie threw a touchdown. It looked great, man. Offense was in rhythm. You saw the highlights on social media and, the one-handed catches, and you saw the big-time runs and everything. You were like, oh, man, this is going to be great. And then we get in the season, and the offense has no idea what's going on. I mean, our quarterback literally went on a podcast and did an interview live and said, yeah, me and the head coach, we weren't on the same page. I don't really know what happened. I don't know what was going on. Like, what? What? Are we serious? That really happened. That really happened. And yeah, Brad, I mean, Dan, I don't know why Daniel does it, but yeah, he look, I get mad at Auburn. You will see me on social media. I will lose it sometimes about Auburn, but I will never be negative about the Auburn Tigers. Baby, we could go 0-12, and I tell you what, I'm gonna be right there saying that we're the best damn team in the nation. That's how I am. I love Auburn. 3-9, 2-10, whatever. I had a Mississippi State guy today, and what's crazy, y'all, is I'm getting a little off track, but I wasn't even being a smart aleck. Like, I wasn't trying to talk trash. He said the floor for us is 4 wins this year. I commented because I like talking about other teams too. And I said, you'll be lucky to win 3, brother. And boy, here they come. He responded back, well, that's 2 less than your team. And I was like, man, what did I say to touch the buttons? What did I say to touch the button? Like, I wasn't being smart. I was just giving you, when I look at your schedule, I was giving you real talk because of the hand you've been dealt. I feel sorry for Mississippi State. I really do. They had a damn good coach that passed away unexpectedly, and I don't think they've rebounded from it yet. And so, yeah, I feel sorry for him. I hate it for him. But this cat, I tell him, I say, okay, well, you're right. If you go off last season, yeah, you're correct. That's 2 less than what we had. Now I want you to go look at your record against Auburn. That's what I want you to do. That's what I want you to do. And then another guy comes in and he's like, yeah, not feeling any optimism with Hugh Freeze this year. So you go talk trash about a team that ain't even on your schedule. Brother, I wasn't talking trash. You're just mad because you know the truth. And you know that you're going to be lucky to win 3 games. And you're mad about it because you're never going to see your team win a football national championship in your lifetime. And your kids will probably never see it. And their kids will probably never see it. But I have seen my team win a national championship. So I'll take that one 6 feet deep, baby. I'll take it 6 feet deep with me. And that's what I tell my buddy who's a big-time Kentucky fan. He starts going in on Auburn, man. And I'm like, stop right there. You'll never see your team win a national championship in football. So just stop. Stop talking while you're ahead. Auburn, I'll go to the grave knowing that I watched one of the greatest college football players and seasons of all time. So I'll take that one with me. But let's get over here. Before we start talking, Miss Karen, I know Ja threw Cam a TD pass today. I love to see that. Keith says we're so back. Love it. Speaking of one-handed catches, I heard Cam has been making some good ones. Not dog. I think he's one of the best in the country. He does that in his sleep, Brad. And one thing I don't like is people constantly comparing him to Ryan Williams. I'm so tired of that. I hate it. I think it's just not even a real comparison to me because they're 2 completely different receivers. And I think I want both of them to be great. Look, I know Ryan plays at Alabama. I want him to be great because he is from my city, and I love seeing kids from Mobile, Alabama succeed. Now, do I want him to do great in the Iron Bowl? No, absolutely not. But that is crazy, Daniel. That's crazy talk, brother. that is blasphemy. I just that might be the worst. That might actually get you banned from this channel just because that's one of the worst takes I've ever heard, brother. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not banning you from the channel, but it is one of the worst takes I've ever heard. Because he's one of the greatest players I've ever seen, bro. Yes, I get it. People have bad games. I understand that, but watching him and Cam, my point is watching him and Cam do what they did with two quarterbacks that didn't fit their offenses. I think that's what we got to look at here is you watch both of these dudes excel with Jalen Milroe, who I'm not saying he's a terrible quarterback. I'm just saying I don't think he fit what Alabama was trying to do. Okay. And then you had PT and Cam did his thing, especially on the back end of the season. So that's what I'm talking about is I don't like the comparison, man. I really don't. I really don't. Blake, that's true about Mississippi State. Sad about the Pirate passing. Dude, it's terrible. I hate it. I just feel like they've never recovered. That plus they're a perennial loser and will most definitely suck this year. That's for sure. That's for sure. All right, Miss Devin, thank you for hopping on. We appreciate it. Man, that's good stuff. Thank you for getting in here before your meeting. So, Marcus Davis, I want to hop over here to Marcus Davis. Then we'll get to Justin Hokinson's tweet. Real quick, Marcus Davis, I thought he kept it short and sweet, y'all. He said, solid first scrimmage. Guys are competing. Sam Turner getting better. Love that you're hearing that name. He's talked a little bit about Bryce Kane getting better, being a big-time special teams guy. I think you heard the Cam, the Eric Singletons, the Perry Thompsons, the Horatio Fields. You keep hearing those names continuously getting better and competing day in and day out in practice. And he was another one that was like, look, man, everybody keeps talking about the offense. He was like, we're doing good things. We're competing at a high level. He said, we got a dude on defense by the name of Jay Crawford that's unreal. And when I heard that, I said, hey, we're in for something good this year, man. They're talking about Kay and Lee. I listened to an SEC podcast earlier today. They're talking about Kay and Lee. They're talking about Jay Crawford. They're talking about Sylvester Smith playing the nickel. Like, they're saying, hey, he's balling right now. So, I mean, you've got dudes back there. And some people were questioning the DB room at Auburn. That's another room that I just never questioned as an Auburn fan. I know we're always going to have dogs in that DB room, man. And so I was really excited to listen to Marcus Davis speak. And I think it was Philip Marshall who kept asking him the recruiting questions. He was like, how do you get to these guys? How do you get these guys to Auburn, man? And he was just like, relationships, man. He's like, I try to be authentic as possible. And obviously Auburn picked up Jace Matthews. So he's like, I just try to be authentic as possible. And, I was watching my boy Dustin the other day, and I think somebody said something or got on his Twitter or something. I can't really remember where I saw it. It might have been in episode. And somebody said something about you're crazy if you think these kids are going to Auburn because of Marcus Davis or something like that. And I think Marcus Davis plays a big part of it because, one, he played at Auburn. Two, he has taken this job and ran with it. He has taken this job and ran with it. Three, I've watched him live in action on the sidelines. I have sat next to him at Cottage Hill Christian Academy and watched him, the whole coaching staff with Tootle. I have been there to actually lay eyes on him and see him work. And it's all business. It's all business with Marcus Davis. I looked at him and said, hey, man, how'd you get Eric Singleton Jr. out the portal? Like, what a grab. Like, you're on a streak. And he said, I told him that we had guys that, hey, you can't double them all. Can't double team all of them. And he's going to be open, and he's going to get the ball in his hands, and he's going to have the chances to make plays. And he come on down. And Marcus Davis has done a fantastic job. And for somebody to say that he's not the reason, he's not the whole reason, but he's a part of the reason. And I thought my guy Dustin handled it very well. And so It was probably Daniel. It might have been. It might have been. Oh, man, that's good stuff. Will be our version of Jordan Peters this year, the guy that blocks punts and makes special teams special. Man, that's who? Are you saying that Bryce Kane could be that guy, or are you saying who could be that guy? Special teams, man, is I had a Baylor fan get in the comment section and say that they had a clear advantage on special teams. Now, I think their punter's great. They're welcoming in a freshman kicker. So I don't know if it's a clear advantage because we have McPherson. But punt returner, I know you have an All-American punt returner, but I mean, we're probably going to have, a Singleton or whoever else is back there. Like, we got dudes that can do it. And you got Hudson Cack at punter. I mean, he's punted D1. He Oklahoma State. Like, I don't think it's as big of an advantage as what some people think. I think Bryce Kane could be a special teams guy that like Jordan Peters. Like, I think he could be a factor over there. I can tell you this. He's one of the most athletic kids I've ever watched coming out of high school, Bryce Kane. And everybody's like, well, where is he on the field? I've told y'all, as long as y'all been listening to me, he's only played football a couple years. Like, he was a terrific baseball player, and he is electric in the open field in football. He is one of the most athletic kids I've seen, and he's going to eventually get his shot, man. He's going to eventually get his shot. And I think, yes, I think, Karen, that might be what they were kind of looking at is Towns Magoo being the kicker. Maybe I don't think it's as big of an advantage as they think. And so you're right, Keith. You're right. Special teams cost us wins last year. And if any Auburn fan tries to debunk that or argue it, you're just wrong. Because, look, I appreciate Towns Magoo for picking Auburn, and it was a big recruiting win, especially against Lane Kiffin. But he failed last year, and that's okay to say that he has to get back in the room. He has to get back on the field and get better. He failed. He was a 5-star kicker. He was a 5-star prospect coming out of high school, and he went, what did he go, 5 for 5 in the 8A game? And they were perfect. They were bombs. I mean, right down the middle. And you come out in the regular season and you can't make a kick from 30 yards out. It cost us the Missouri game. That Missouri game was ours, man. Like, that was us, and it cost us. It cost us. We dropped a touchdown there. We missed a field goal. We just literally handed them that game on a silver platter. And it felt like we did that multiple times last year. What is it? What is it, Brad? Hold on. That's not Oh, man. I'm excited about the Baylor game. I want to win. It's going to be the measuring stick for this year's team. And I saw you up here, Thomas, and I appreciate you, brother. War Damn Eagle, $5 super chat, man. I appreciate you, Thomas. Love it, man. And I'm ready for it too, brother. I'm ready for the Baylor game because I think Auburn's getting a little disrespected. And it did, Keith. It cost us the Vandy game too. I think we're getting a little disrespected. How would you defend this offense? That's why I'm not so, Mike. That's why I'm not so worried right now. I'm not panicking with what I'm hearing out of fall camp. Is because you have so many weapons, man. You have so many weapons. Not only everybody wants to talk about the receivers. You're starting to hear about Preston Howard at tight end, and if that develops, like, look out. I mean, they're saying the kid's a playmaker, and you're hearing things like, look at the story of Cameron King, man. I mean, earns a scholarship, hard worker. You're hearing his name pop up in fall camp. I think he's doing well. Like, you're just hearing stories like that, and it goes much deeper than the guys at the top, right? And so when you think about Auburn, all right, going out to Baylor, I think Auburn is going to come out and I think they're going to try to establish the run, and they are going to loosen that Baylor defense up. And I just don't know how Baylor. I don't know how many. I don't care how many defensive backs you put on the field, brother. You just can't. I don't think you can stop Auburn. I don't think you match up well with what you're about to see. Now, our defense, I think we're going to be okay. I think we'll lean our hat on it. And but as far as defending this offense, I think you're going to see. I think you're going to see Jackson use his legs. I think you're going to see Damari Alston. Like I said, I think Omar Mabson gets out there. How you defend it, I don't know, because I think there's so many weapons. I really do. I think there's so many weapons. What are you going to do? Double team Cam? You going to put safety over the top of Cam? I think you got to. And so that's going to allow Malcolm Simmons, Eric Singleton Jr., Perry Thompson, Horatio Fields, because they're going to try to shut down Cam any way possible. That's the number one thing. Is they're going to try to shut down Cam. And yeah, I'm with you, Keith. I don't see a world where Baylor's DBs can hang with Auburn. And I'll tell y'all this, I watched the Baylor and LSU bowl game the other night. And I know people sit out bowl games and whatever. I watched it. And I think both teams played majority of their starters. And Baylor can't tackle. And they're only bringing back 5 starters on that defense. They can't tackle. They had a problem keeping up with the speed of LSU. It's just a different brand of football out there. Now, can Baylor win the football game? Yes. Can Auburn go out there and turn the ball over and lose by 10 points? Yes, they can. We did it to Cal last year at home. So I'm not trying to talk this crazy talk. I'm just telling you how I think. I don't know how you defend this Auburn offense, because I think they're going to be much better than what you're hearing out of fall camp. Now, let's get over here real quick. We're 42 minutes in, so let's get over here. Let's talk about the Justin Hoganson tweet, because they spoke with Derrick Nix and Ken Austin, and talking about Nix handles first down strategy play calling, Austin handles third down strategy play calling, and as Nix said a few frees, head coach has the authority to overrule anything we say or do. Now, before anybody panics, all right, before anybody panics, I just want to let y'all know, Hugh Freeze calls the plays. Okay? Hugh Freeze calls the plays. Is it what I want to hear? No. There's a lot of things that are said in the media out of Auburn that I'm just like, why did we say that? You heard me go off about the whole we need to make it to a bowl game thing. Pat Dye would have never said that. I asked my dad. I called my dad because I was pissed when I heard it. I called my dad, and I was like, man, would Pat Dye say that? And he was like, no. He was like, never. He would have never said that. And I was like, thank you, man. Like, that's just, I just didn't want to hear it. And I don't want to hear things like this, because people are going to take off and run with it. Now, they all work through a headset just like this right here, all right? Hugh Freeze overrides anything that he doesn't agree with. And guess what? If all this goes bad, he gets the blame, because, yes, he overrides anything. It's all on him. He's the head man. He hears every call. So it comes down to Hugh. There's no more avoiding that. Some people are like, well, Hugh just don't want to break their hearts and tell everybody that he's calling plays. Y'all, it's Hugh. It's Hugh. It was Hugh last year. Now, the first year, I think him and Philip Montgomery kind of disagreed on a whole lot. I think he would have disagreed. I think they disagreed on a whole lot. And I think that's why it was such a cluster. And it just looked really, really bad. I think you're right there. Yeah. Media is there for clicks, not actual reporting. That's for sure, man. Pat Dye would have said we got to run the football, play strong defense, be sound in the kicking game. That's my dad always tells me stories about Pat Dye and Bo Jackson. Spent more time talking about making the other team fear us than he talked about bowl games. For sure, man. For sure. For sure. It it's always fun that because I wasn't around obviously when Pat Dye was the head coach for Auburn, and so I always ask my dad. I ask him about certain players and about Pat Dye, and I'm just like, what was it like back then? And he was like, yeah, he changed the whole trajectory of the program. Like uh, he was the guy that come in and set the standard for Auburn football, and obviously Bo Jackson helped with that. And exactly. He wouldn't have commented on the number of wins and losses for sure. Um, and my dad always speaks so highly of him because he was like, when he talked, you listened, and he had that, I guess, what kids nowadays call aura about him. And it was strong. Like when he opened his mouth, you listened, and he had that effect over his team too. And that's why he got such great responses out of his team. And so there's some things in the Auburn media that come out that I'm like, man, I wish that wouldn't come out. But I just wanted to address it because Hugh Freeze is the man. He is the guy. He hears every play call. They work together. And if he doesn't like it, he trashes it and calls what he wants to call. I think that's it. I think there's nothing more to it. And guess what? Like I said, if it don't work, it's going to get pinned on Hugh Freeze, period. So there you have it. We're almost there. We're almost there. It's getting to be time for Waco, Texas, baby. So, thank y'all for joining me tonight, man. We had a great episode. I'm so glad to see everything growing, and thank y'all for the super chats, the 5 gifted memberships. Man, all of y'all just in here every episode, just rocking with me and talking about Auburn. I absolutely love it. I'm so ready for Auburn football. I'm so ready for I know I'm going to do a basketball episode. I'm going to release that one. It'll be members only early, and then it'll get released. But we had the SEC schedule drop, and I know it's not basketball season just yet, but I want to talk a little basketball because the last time I talked basketball, I was in the Alamo Dome watching us lose in the Final Four. So yeah, we're gonna do a little bit of that. So. Appreciate y'all. We'll be back later in the week. Like Miss Karen, she brought up practice today, so we'll keep hammering home. We'll keep talking about that. Obviously, Auburn is they're on the path of getting another big time commitment. So everybody that was going on about Auburn failing in recruiting and Hugh Freeze plays too much golf and all this hoopla, we're seeing that Auburn is making a surge and they're coming strong. So 2 more weeks, the weakest link. That's right, baby. We're on the way. So War Damn Eagle, I'll see y'all later in the week, man. I'm out. We're almost there, baby. Let's go.